Yeah.
Oh man,
Bring
happy
back,
to be
bring
here,
back memories.
dude. It brings back memories you don't even want to know about.
I probably don't.
You don't. Dude, if you knew me back in the day, like when I was in college, can you imagine?
I think we would still be friends.
We never would have gotten married. I can tell you that.
We would not be podcast husband and husband if that was the case.
We would have had so much fun. So now we're making up for lost time, right?
Yes, exactly. We're trying to squeeze in a lifetime of friendship in a short amount of time.
I love it. Welcome back to Geoholics, episode 207.
207.
So happy to be here.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
such a crazy day today. As a matter of fact, I thought for a moment I wasn't going to be here. Right? We were preparing for you and Dr. Nick to do the show tonight.
We were, absolutely.
And I was so excited.
Dr. Nick and I were ready to go, and then you said, hey, I got an earlier flight.
Yeah, and here I am. This is great. This is unexpected joy today.
It really is.
Yes. So before we get going here, I want to mention we connected with Gene Rowe at GeoWeek. Right?
Yep.
With LiDAR News.
LiDARnews.com.
Formed a partnership with those guys now. LiDARnews.com, just like Sean said. And thank you to Gene. Thank you to LiDAR News for promoting the Geoholics. And we're going to build a happy life together.
There was a very nice article that he put out that was about our show and had some very, probably a little aggressively over complimentary. Once he gets to know us a little better, he may retract on some of those, but it was very nice and well said, and we couldn't be more excited.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for that.
Clearly AI found a good way to talk about us.
But in all seriousness, be sure to check out LiDARnews.com.
Yes.
He's got a weekly newsletter that is so cool.
Yeah.
And he's agreed, like, if we tell him on Monday who our guests are going to be for the week, in the weekly newsletter, which comes out on Wednesday, which is perfect because we record on Thursdays, he's going to say who's on the show and provide the link for YouTube Live.
Oh,
yeah. So anybody watching right now as a result of that link that was published this week through LiDAR News, thank you for being here. This is fantastic.
Absolutely.
And
pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mentioned Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick's here. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how we doing?
Doing fantastic. What's new in your world? I think you might have some big news. Your wife may have gotten a better than average job.
A job. Yeah, no. I think we're probably going to talk about it. I don't want to, forecast the show, but yeah, she graduated with her PhD in December, so it's been quite a transition. She's super happy, and took a job at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So I think there are two other guests we'll talk to this afternoon or this evening that are now her coworkers. Maybe one's her boss. Oh. So, I can't misbehave too much. I'm not drinking too much on the so.
Nick, you got to be on your best behavior tonight.
I can't say, having got to know Danielle, it's awesome for her.
A rock star.
She's a rock star. 100%. We couldn't be happier. It's well deserved.
And you know what? She is also a geoholic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the
self-proclaimed.
It's like the complete package.
If anybody besides me is going to get the Geoholics tattoo, it's going to be Danielle.
Okay.
So I just had this thought. They say, you're not supposed to meet your significant other at an, AA meeting, except, we're both Geoholics Anonymous. I don't know what that really means in the grand scheme of things.
Oh man, that's awesome. Congratulations.
We're enabler. We enable each other.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's great. How about you, producer Sean? What's up?
You've
been busy.
Oh man, it is busy season. And I don't know if we talked about it last week, but got a new puppy at the Faber compound.
Louis.
His name is Louis. My daughter calls him Lucky Louis, and my wife calls him Lucifer. So that's just kind of how it's. It's an awesome little rescue puppy. Birthday present for my soon-to-be 7-year-old daughter. So bunch of chaos, craziness at the house. What about you? What's new with you?
Just really freaking busy right now. Things are crazy in a good way. So excited about that. Today is my oldest daughter McKenna's birthday.
Oh, McKenna is a very special friend of our program.
She is indeed. She was actually a unpaid employee for a while.
Oh yeah. She was the glue that held this show together.
I was gonna say, didn't you do episodes there for a while? Remember recording?
McKenna's been on a couple episodes.
She has filled in as a co-host. She basically did all of the legwork behind the scenes for us for quite a while.
She did,
and
yeah.
Then, she had to get married and have her own life. But
yep. God, I thought you were going to say having kids. Hold on a second. But happy birthday, McKenna.
You do know how life works, right?
I know how everything works. Yes. But happy birthday to her.
Absolutely.
We'll be celebrating this weekend. By the time she hears this, it'll be 3 weeks later. But whatever. It doesn't matter.
Fine.
We acknowledge it.
What are you doing for a birthday?
What are we doing? We're going to Trevor's, as a matter of fact, on Sunday to celebrate her birthday.
Oh, really?
Yep. I'm sure there'll be other things between now and then that happens, just sporadically, or there'll be stories, I'm sure.
Okay.
Always is.
Well, if she likes Peter Piper pizza, just saying,
Oh.
Evelyn's birthday is this weekend.
It is.
We may
Exciting.
be over there.
How old is Evelyn going to be?
She is going to be 7 years old.
7 going on 15.
Oh, man. She is an adult already.
Yes. She's, speaking of rock stars, she is a rock star as well.
Apparently
yes.
that skips a generation in the Faber household, that adulthood thing.
Absolutely. She is more grown up than I am. I can't say my wife. My wife is quite grown up, and
I never want to grow up.
but this is what today was career day in first grade class. So she got to dress up in either the college she likes or the career she wanted to take, and of course she dressed up like Taylor Swift because she wants to be the artist equivalent of Taylor Swift. She wants to be the drawing artist equivalent of Taylor Swift.
The artist formerly known as Taylor Swift.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Yep. Good stuff. Well, let's get on with this. We
Let's
can talk all night.
We can.
And we got a lot to get to. Tell us about that opening number. Nick, I think this is on you tonight.
I got it. I'm going to try to read. It's tough. So, New Order. All right. Song is Love Vigilantes. New Order is a pioneering English rock band formed in 1980 in Salford, Great Manchester. That's in the UK, for anybody who's wondering. Following the dissolution of Joy Division after the tragic suicide of lead singer Ian Curtis, comprising Bernard Sumner, Peter Hook, and Stephen Morris from Joy Division, along with the addition of Gillian Gilbert. The band has been an influential force in alternative and electronic music scenes. And fun fact, it's one of KG's all-time favorite bands.
Nailed it.
I honestly, I heard you kind of gushing about them earlier, and so.
Yeah, well, thanks for mentioning that, and that is definitely the case. And I mean, have not seen New Order, but I have seen Peter Hook.
Okay,
and he plays all the new Order stuff, and it's freaking amazing. Yeah,
I can see that.
Anybody listening, you get a chance. If you're a New Order fan, you get a chance to see Peter Hook. Do it.
I don't doubt that at all. I'm sure it's
trust me on that one.
Show. We are in this week is the David Evans and Associates studio.
I know those guys.
I know you do quite well. David Evans is a recognized leader in the design and management of complex transportation, land development, water resources, and energy projects nationwide. They combine the talents of engineers, surveyors, planners, hydrographers, landscape architects, and natural resource scientists to provide their clients access to a complete range of services. DA's consistently ranked among Engineer News Record's top 100 pure design firms in the U.S. and among leaders in many of the local markets. To find out more, what's the website?
That would be DAINC.com.
That is it.
And I can tell you from experience, it is a really good place to work.
From what I've gathered, knowing you well, meeting a lot of the team, I can agree with that.
All right.
Moving on.
Do you want me to do this? Who's doing this? What's going on here?
This is now it is time for the GeoMax Weekly Service Pro Tip. Dr. Nick, what do you got over there?
All right. I've got a really great quote from this super awesome philosopher named Unknown. Ready for this? No, it's a good quote. Here we go. A sale is not something you pursue. It's what happens to you while you are immersed in serving your customer.
That's good.
That is
These
good.
GeoMax folks, I mean, they're so into their customers.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? And they come up, they sent us all these great quotes to use, and this is one of them, of course. And if you're listening, you got to go to geomax-positioning.com to check out everything these guys got going.
I got to admit, I was a little skeptical when they wanted to sponsor this segment. And so far, everything they've sent has been spot on
100%
and quality stuff.
Yep. Great people. And let them know you're a Geoholic for the deep discounts.
Geoholics discounts. Moving on. Next up is the job posting job
GeoSearch.
spotlight by GeoSearch.
Job of the week.
The GeoSearch job of the week. This week, GeoSearch is seeking a project surveyor in Aurora, Illinois.
You know what? I think I may know what company this is. Just because I'm from there. I am.
This is
based
your neck
on
of the
this. I
woods.
might know this company.
Obviously, it is a reputable client of GeoSearch. They provide private sector surveying services for pre-engineering surveys through design and construction to final as-built and submittal. Qualifications: need 10 years of experience in diverse private sector surveying projects.
You could probably apply for that.
I think I could. 2+ years in project management experience. Excellent communication, oral, interpretation, written, and organizational skills. Excellent organizational and analytical skills, including demonstrated ability to assess, evaluate, and implement company initiatives and present creative solutions. This job would entail the ability to perform, manage, and supervise the production of ALTA surveys, topo surveys, and construction surveys from start to finish. Complete projects on time and within budgets. That'd be new to you, Kent, but maintain a good relationship with clients and staff, communicate closely with other disciplines and or sub-consultants, and develop, maintain, and enhance relationships with existing clients. And that previous quote is right in there with the existing client.
Isn't that amazing how things just align like that? It's like it's planned. I have no idea.
I know. To find out more, go to geosearch.com, hit the search button, look for Project Surveyor or Illinois. You'll find it all.
You'll find it all. Yeah. Tons of great opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
Let's get our guests in here. This week, of course, our guests are brought to you by Airworks. Visit airworks.io to check out everything they're doing.
Exactly.
Why are you looking at me weird?
I'm just surprised that you're here.
Oh,
I feel like he's snooping on us, Shug. I thought
Dr. Nick and I had a whole thing. We did not expect you to be here.
Then
so
why were you so happy when I walked in?
Well, I could just relax a little bit after minute 13.
All right, here we go. Let's get our guests in here. We got Rick Smith and Philippe Tissot with us, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And really what I want you guys to do, just name kind of who you're with, what you do, and this week we'll go with your first car. Philippe, why don't you go first?
I'm Philippe Tissot. I'm at the Conrad Butcher Institute, chair for coastal artificial intelligence. So for a long time, I've worked on research in artificial intelligence and coastal processes. I'm originally from Switzerland. I'm an Aggie also, graduate from Texas A&M College Station. And my first car was a Renault 5 little blue car that I think I paid less than $5,000 at the time.
I love it. I remember the Renault. Did you ever see them?
No,
you're probably too young for that.
No, I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it's a manual transmission, and
for sure,
and it could fit in a doorway in the U.S.
Pretty much. Pretty much. How about you, Rick?
Yeah, so my name's Rick Smith. I'm the executive director of the Conrad Butcher Institute for Surveying and Science, which is housed at Texas A&M University Corpus Christi, and I help direct the Research Institute and really provide an infrastructure for the research scientists to go follow their passion and do a lot of fun, impactful research. Let's see here. First car was a 1989 Ford Ranger manual in primer color.
Oh, primer color.
Primer color.
Classic. Yes.
People try to make that color now, right? Like they want their cars to look like their primer.
I'm sure they pay a lot to get primer.
They
matte
buy
color.
these $60,000 cars and get them wrapped in primer color.
Yeah, or you can just go to Home Depot and get 17 cans of primer
Kills.
and spray paint it.
or just let it sit out in the hot Texas sun every day for a couple of years, and you'll get there. It'll bake off that paint.
You'll get there too.
That's awesome. Good stuff, guys. Thank you for being here.
Real quick, I gotta ask, Dr. Nick, what was your first car? I don't think I've ever heard it.
Oh yeah,
a white S10, 2-door stick shift,
Chevy
and
S10.
I was super duper cool. And I put a 10-inch subwoofer into the cab, so there was literally no room. You couldn't even sit in the chair because the subwoofer was more important than space.
You gotta have the right vibe on your music. And
did it have was it an extended cab or was it a single cab?
No, single cab. So I'm saying
where did you put a subwoofer in a single cab?
I had a little truck box. Yeah, it was
under the seat.
Oh my God, that's freaking hilarious. All right, let's get on with this. So I am so curious, here in Phoenix, the Beer Research Institute is one of my favorite breweries.
Oh, really?
So that's what I'm thinking a research institute is. Maybe I am misled.
Something tells me
I
that
don't
these
know.
guys do a little bit different kind of research than you're accustomed
different
to.
but the same, probably, right?
I'm sure it's on the same level.
Let's find out. What is a research institute? And Philip, I'm gonna let you go first.
Research Institute. So Research Institute regroups scientists and also administrators, technicians, and we have a common goal to push science, engineering in a certain field. And so we're pushing the science, inventing new stuff, better understanding our field, and at the same time, we're also training the next generation of scientists and engineers. And the Blucher Institute is very intentionally having a very sort of integrated institute with lots of students and lots of folks, and it's a great environment.
So interesting. Rick, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the question we often get is, so, because we're not an academic unit, but we're on a university campus. So we're nonprofit, research. So a way I usually like to try to describe it is, we're sort of like a research business, so to speak, right? We're grouped around an affinity of measurement and science. And everyone at the Institute, is funded 100% by research grants, right? So we really, love working with sponsors, bring in research grants, help them solve problems, and it's kind of unique, right? It's not like we're professors necessarily, all of us in a college doing what you would think they would do, right? So, group at a university, of course, but really in the business of doing research and science.
Fair enough. How long has the Conrad Blucher Institute been around?
So 1987, so 36 years. Wow. So we were the first research institute at Texas A&M in Corpus Christi, and it was an endowment from Conrad Blucher. It's been quite the ride. I first started working with the institute as a student, and I think the year 2000. And Philippe, you've been around the halls for quite some time as well, right?
1999, just a year before.
Yeah.
Wow. So who's
he's
this
been
Conrad?
partying? He's been partying at CBI since 1999.
Who is Conrad Blucher?
Yeah, great question. So Conrad Blucher was the county surveyor in South Texas, land surveyor, engineer, and his father, Charles von Blucher, was the county surveyor ahead of him. And his father, Felix von Blucher, was the county surveyor ahead of him. In fact, Felix von Blucher came to the United States in 1849 with his wife. Later went and married his wife, Maria von Blucher, and immigrated to the U.S. and really helped settle the region. And pretty cool family. Felix's great uncle was Field Marshal von Blucher, who defeated Napoleon at Waterloo. His wife studied piano under Franz Liszt. Really incredible family. Felix spoke 5 languages,
Wow.
With military. And so really 100 years worth of surveying in this Blucher family, almost uninterrupted. Now, and the other thing I'll mention, what especially is really cool, is the family really focused on education and keeping really good records. In fact, the first librarian in Corpus Christi was a Blucher. And so they donated their entire survey collection to the library here on campus. So we have 100 years of unbroken survey records, field books, job folders, maps, everything in our special collections. And those of you surveyors know how incredibly important that is. And a few years ago, we digitized all of it and put it online.
Nice.
So anyway,
that is amazing.
That is
it's
so cool.
an amazing family. Yeah.
And is that available to the public then, those records?
It is freely available to the public. It's in the Texas Digital Library. And the reason why we chose that is we're part of the consortium, the university, and they have like a 200-year plan or something like that to keep them available. So it's just an amazing resource. But I will say, coming and visiting it in person, there's something about, holding these old field books and looking at what they were drawing around the campfire when they were just passing time. And yes, apparently the mosquitoes were just as bad back then. And then you can tell there were some male surveyors, because like they had their grocery list. And it was like meat, onions, and whiskey. Like that was it, right? So yeah, true form.
Yeah, exactly.
I just had an idea. Can we do a Geoholics shirt, and on the back it just says something like surveyors? What did you say? Onions, meat.
Yeah,
whiskey.
and whiskey. Yeah.
Surveyor's grocery list.
Delete that part.
Unchanged since 1845.
I think we're onto something there. So real quick, we got to take a quick poll. What name sounds the best? Dr. Nick von Smolowski, producer Sean von Faber, or what am I?
Kent von Groh.
Kent von Grokowalski. That's a tough one.
I think Dr. Nick von Smolowski is it just rolls off the tongue.
I love it.
Real quick, before we keep going on here, I gotta ask Philippe. You said in your bio that it's coastal AI. You gotta tell me. I mean, is this like predicting when the house in California is going to fall into the ocean? Is that kind of how it goes, or what is? Give me a little bit more about what that is.
Yeah, that's kind of the kind of things we're interested in. We do more like a short-term predictions. We have models to predict when you're going to get inundated, how high the water is going to go, when there's going to be coastal fog, when there's going to be a cold stunning event for sea turtles and fisheries, some of them operational. And we do also modeling a little long-term that tells you, how fast the sea levels are rising and how that's going to change the frequency of inundation. And we're using AI we've been using AI since 1999 to try to boost.
Come on.
Yep.
So you were an early adopter. There's no doubt about that.
It sounds like he's more of not an adopter, but a creator, a pioneer.
Yes. AI pioneer.
And it was not popular. It was really funny because we would hide the word artificial intelligence. It's such a contrast. At the time when you sent a proposal, one of the first proposal I sent, my mentor told me, Philippe, this is pretty good stuff, but you really shouldn't say the word, artificial intelligence. So we scratched that off and it became generalized nonlinear regression.
Oh, love that.
To get a better chance.
AI sounds so much better.
AI sounds so much better.
I think I would like to see when like Terminator 2 came out comparatively to that time. We could do a correlative analysis. T2 changed everything. But I've had the blessing to actually have been at the Institute, and I got to meet Philip and Rick, and you guys you took me around and showed me all the different stuff. Maybe you could, along with the AI conversation, talk a little bit more about what CBI does in terms of all the sensors and the data you're collecting. I mean, you guys are doing, the stuff with the gravity and the NGS, and oh my goodness, wait till you got, this is some solid, nerdy, amazing stuff. So yeah, if you don't mind, tell everybody.
Yeah, maybe I'll start, Philippe, with the data, and then So it's all about data, right? I think we all know that, and the Blucher Institute has a real rich history of sensing data long term. So the project we're most well known for, and the project that's been running for I think 35 of the 36 years in which the institute's existed, is the Texas Coastal Ocean Observation Network. So really it was a series of tide gauges installed up and down the Texas coast between Mexico and Louisiana, and where we receive tidal information every 6 minutes. And we have been continuously, for 35 years.
Wow.
Or thereabouts. And now today it's expanded. So we have 88 stations up and down the coast that collect things like wind speed, direction, water temperature, wave heights, water depth, salinity, turbidity, and just goes on and on. And we get near real-time feeds of that. And it goes into our data center, and we do things that are related to tidal. We do NOAA standards, and we pass all that along to NOAA so that way they can publish it. And the question people usually ask us is, well, what do a bunch of geo nerds care about water level? Well, it's really about littoral boundary of Texas, right? The littoral boundary of Texas, the water boundary of Texas is mean, high water, and lower. So in order for us to know that, we have to measure the water levels for about 19 years, which is a gravitational kind of reset between the moon and the earth. And we have that, right? That's been achieved. So it's really important that we have sustained collection of the data. Other things, we have several drones, a lot of, running LiDAR, really making sure it's positionally accurate with proper ground control. Let's see here. It kind of goes on, and I don't want to drone on it, but I would say, so we have these rich data sets that we're collecting and producing. And then so that really kind of naturally feeds into a lot of work like Philippe's group is doing, right? Is you have this massive data set, which of course is for one purpose, but it can be used for many other scientific needs. And so Philippe, will kind of kick it over to you to say, okay, so now we've been collecting all this data from all these sensors, and then
right, well, several use. So the first comment before going back to AI, of course, but the first comment I say is that if you have a discussion on the future of the coast, a big question is, well, how fast is the water rising? And, in 15, 30 years, 50 years, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money with infrastructure, how high is the water going to be? How often am I going to get inundated? Is spending a little more money going to buy me another 20, 30 years? And to do that, you need to measure. I think the Geoholics will know what the concept of land subsidence is. And if you're right along the coast, right now we have a sea level rise of about 3.4 millimeters. But the land subsidence can add up to 10 millimeters to that. So if you're worried about sea level rise, 3 times as much can come from land subsidence, depending on the geology. So that's the first thing. If you've got the measurements, that kind of stops a lot of discussions. What if? And then everybody can get on the same table. And then we say, all right, this is how the relative sea level rise is rising. What are we going to do about it? How do we plan? How do we invest, etc. So that's and then for a lot measurements, that's just awesome. The other part is that once you have all these measurements, then there's the new methods like artificial intelligence. What does artificial intelligence need? Well, lots of data. And so that's how in 1999 we decided to do that. And so it was essential for us. Both the CBI had probably one of the most advanced web-based environmental data distribution platform in the world at the time, and we had lots of data, so that was the perfect place to start doing environmental AI, coastal AI.
So
I gotta ask
you
one
got
thing.
something?
Oh yeah, very. Just because I'm curious on the interaction between the two of you, and it sounds like Rick, you're more on the data collection side, and Philip, you're on this is what we may be able to know or learn from that. Who's it? Rick, are you giving Philip more data than he can do anything with, or Philip, are you asking for more data to do more stuff with?
I'll let Rick answer, but I am always asking for more data.
There we go.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Unquenching thirst for data, right? With the caveat, right, of it's got to be good data, right? And that's really the key, which is why we really focus on, we've got to follow the standards. It's, we have 2 full-time field crews that travel 3 out of every 4 weeks up and down the Texas coast, maintaining all these sensors, right?
Wow.
The water, the salt water eats these things alive. So it is, it's not just putting a sensor in the water and saying, well, I'll see it in 5 years, right? No, we need to see it quite often. So I think it's, having the infrastructure, having the know-how to produce it is really the key. And in terms of data provider, data consumer. So I'm kind of my day job is a lot of pushing paper, PowerPoints, and Excels, right, and meetings, tying it together. We've got an entire operational group, research ops, that does nothing but that data collection, and we've got another team that does beach surveys and monitor surveys up and down the Texas coast. We've got another group that does all the measurement analytics from our drones, right? Then we've got Philippe's group with artificial intelligence. So we just have a lot of different groups in the Institute with that common thread, right? Which is what you're really keying in on of, all the data is available, it's open, it's scientifically sound, and we want everyone to use it, right? And we're going to stand behind the quality of the data because, it's as we know, poor data structure, right? Everything above it's going to topple.
All right. So I got 2 questions real quick. Philippe, first of all, what is causing the sea level to rise? And two, how does it affect? 'Cause there's a lot of measurements based on mean sea level, right? How is it affecting those measurements?
So let's start with the mean sea level. It's I'll call it a statistical datum, meaning that you measure for quite a while, and then you take the average with respect to a fixed point, and then you relate that fixed point to a land datum such as NAVD 88, and that's rising. So NOAA has as I said, so you change about every 19 years or so, you change your mean sea level, or if the mean sea level is rising faster, which is often the case in Texas and Louisiana, then you change more often, about every 5 years or so. So there's a sort of a regular update because mean sea level is rising. And then the causes of mean sea level. So you have the sea level, sort of general ocean sea level, and then you have the land subsidence. The sea level in the ocean, we know that pretty well because we have satellite altimetry to just measure the sea levels all around the world or around the oceans. Then we have the GRACE mission that tells us about gravitational measurements and can measure how much the glaciers are melting, the change in mass distributions. And we have buoys that measure the ocean, that go up and down the ocean to measure the temperature. And so far until now, the majority of it, I forgot the percentages, but a pretty good majority of it has been the warming of the ocean, with a substantial contribution for the melting of the ice, of land ice, not the North Pole. Yep. And then also some contribution from groundwater and a few other things. But really, number one, the thermal expansion of the water, and then the ice. And then when we look at the next 50 years, it's reversed. Now the driver is going to be how fast the ice is melting. And that's what's driving our acceleration. And there's a lot of cool research for geologists and environmental scientists, glaciologists on exactly how that's happening. Imagine like a big glacier that is moving down towards the ocean, and that motion, you got to think about the friction between the glacier and the walls of the fjord, and it's melting, so you have lubrication from water that's seeping in, and you have to figure that out, and then what happens when it reaches the water. So that's those are the kind of research that are going to tell us how fast it goes, and it's pretty important because the uncertainty on how high the water levels are going to be in 50 years is a lot, and it's going to be a challenge. It's accelerating, and it's going to be a challenge. And we could go to land subsidence later if you want. But I
was just going to ask, do you mind quickly why is the land going down on the riparian front? Is that human cause? Or what's going on?
Or is that a result of the water level going up?
It's a combination, right?
Like if it pulls out groundwater, then does it subside? Yeah.
So that's a big one. What you just said, the fluid extractions, either groundwater for drinking water, like Houston is something, and Houston, the Houston Galveston Subsidence District is doing a really good job of measuring it, planning it. We just had a symposium a few weeks where we talked about it. So it's happening. We know about it. We're measuring it. There's also oil and gas extraction, also a fluid, also contributing to it. And then you have natural factors. You have geology, like growth fault. You have the compaction of the land, depending on where you are, if you're on a former riverbed, and a little bit of plate tectonic also, or at least where we live around Texas, maybe millimeters per year. And so you gotta combine those. The big ones in Louisiana and Texas will usually be due to groundwater fluid extraction, groundwater oil and gas extraction, or growth faults also. So a combination. And the need is, let's measure it. We got to measure it. So we go back to getting good data, good quality measurements, which makes the planning, long-term planning, and the investments. There's not going to be enough money to go around to make all those resiliency investments, and so you want to make the right one, and you want good data and good measurements.
I want to circle back with Rick on the effect that gravity has on all this. And
oh man,
Sean and I are essentially gravity experts at this point. Do you guys know Galen Scott?
Yes.
All right, so So we got to meet and have a conversation with Galen at Geoweek.
Yes, we did.
And
it still blows my mind.
Still blows my mind.
Still blows my mind from that conversation.
He was trying to give us an education on gravity and the effect that it plays. It was amazing.
It was amazing, and I still don't think he was able to dumb it down enough for us to really grasp.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So Rick, talk a little bit about that. What effect does gravity play on all this?
Right. So did Galen do his one-armed fisherman explanation?
Yes.
He
Yeah.
did.
So,
Yes, he did.
so I have to say, like, there, whoever can explain like the geoid and gravity should be the next MacArthur Genius Award winner to the public, right? I think, particularly in the classroom, it's one of the more difficult, discussions and things you have to explain as well. Okay, imagine there's the Earth and there's no land and you just have water, right? There's your global mean sea level, and it's not smooth. It's not ellipse. It's, it undulates due to the different densities and the like. So
and it bulges, right?
Yeah, because of the centrifugal spin, and so it's just, what's great about that is and we were talking about our daughter about it the other day, because she's hopefully going to be a future, geospatial professional, right? But even with her, like, hey, getting that concept through is challenging. But I think once people grab it, right, it really starts to resonate with them a little bit of, oh, okay, so we need a zero, right? Because then you throw the word datum in there, and then just, oh man, all bets are off, right? What is a datum? So we really find it useful to explain, okay, global mean sea level, we've got the gravity, right? It's going to be different densities, it's going to pull at different levels, and that's going to affect the Earth in different ways. And so in terms of effect, with subsidence, I mean, that's, frankly, a little bit out of my depth in terms of, where it goes. That's, groundwater extraction, resource extraction for sure makes a difference. And I'm sure there's been gravity. It's just not my particular area of expertise as much as knowing that how it really is affecting us all, and how we need to measure it with like the synthetic aperture radar, like the INSAR and the NISAR satellite that's about to launch from between the NASA and Indian space agencies that we're preparing for. I think that's really the really interesting part of how we can say, how are we going to manage this if it's moving, that often? I mean, think benchmarks, and maybe we'll touch on this a little bit later, but surveyors know you have a benchmark, and the whole purpose of a benchmark is what? Long-term, stable, reliable. Yep. What if it's sinking?
Yeah.
Right. We know it's moving, right? It just
surveyors across the country just lose their mind.
Well, it's like,
have you checked NGS recently? 75% of the monuments listed haven't been checked. They're not modern. They're awful. Like, they're all over. Yeah. I mean, they're not good these days. Like, be careful.
Yeah. And because everything, what it boils down to is everything is constantly moving, right?
Yes.
So that published elevation is a snapshot of time.
Yes. And that's just, it's, thinking back to when we were in elementary or junior high, thinking about plate tectonics and things are moving, right? It's like, it's so hard to grapple with that. Like, okay, fine. But then now that we can actually measure it and we can see it and we can track it, I think it's an opportunity for us to really help people understand that, these things are moving. But it's certainly, like with most things, you start measuring something, now you're starting to see, oh, that's a problem. Right? Like, oh man, what was it? NGS had suppressed all but 8 benchmarks for vertical heights in the Houston Galveston area due to subsidence and things that had changed. Now, we recently did a massive campaign with some partners in the NGS to update, I think it was around 400 of them that finally got blue booked recently. But I mean, it just took a long time to do it. It's expensive. It took time. So, maybe there's a world without benchmarks one day. I don't know what that looks like or how scientifically, but like, it's certainly, I think it's going to be a challenge going forward now that we know things are moving, right?
Rick,
so interesting.
Go ahead.
Don't you do some measurement testing at the Institute in that regard with NOAA or NGS? Don't you have? I'm pretty sure you have a monument in your building.
Yes. So I love showing that because people are like, what's a benchmark? I'm like, oh, in the back of one of our labs, we actually have an NGS benchmark inside specifically for gravity measurements with a window and some penetrations to the outside. So we can measure it in, maybe shoot it in with a gun or even put a GPS out. So yeah, we've got our own little protected gravity. I mean, we're so nerdy, man. I mean, who has that?
Isn't it like a gravitometer or something like that?
Oh well, yeah, and then
He was showing us
there's a
pictures of those
gravity
things.
bulge in Iowa that I'm still blowing my mind on.
Yeah, because it was like a volcano or something.
Yeah, that never actually got to the surface. So the gravity actually gets higher as you go through Iowa, which is like completely freaking flat.
Yeah,
but there's one thing that I really got to touch on that I just thought about, and the idea of monuments, and that's the last remaining true data behind that elevation. But I'm thinking about all the going forward, all the crazy amount of data we're going to have, and then what if it's more like a blockchain thing, that it's not a set monument elevation, it's a collective of all this satellite. I mean, the amount of data that we have for elevations has gone from this to crazy.
I think that's coming.
Yeah.
I mean,
you think
that's coming.
A website you can go to on a daily basis and say, what is the elevation today on that monument?
And then it's a combination of all these different points that come in from everywhere, and then that's the mean that we use, not
true 3D modeling.
The one that they shot 100 years ago that we're still trying to cling on to, that has probably moved and we don't realize it.
100%.
I mean, yeah, Dr. Nick, I think we're talking Geoid 2022, right? I mean, it is going to be a time-based Geoid model, right? And with updates, hopefully much more than every 75 years.
Well, and that's my point, is that we go every 75 years. By the time we get to the end, we're starting over again, and we never actually got there.
It's like that published data is already outdated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Technically.
Well, it boggles my mind.
Splitting hairs.
How many agents? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're up.
I was just going to say, how many agencies have you worked with that are still using like NAD 27? I mean,
or NGVD 29,
100-year-old vertical datum that they measured from Kansas. By the way, Kansas moves, so
yeah, it does.
Well, I mean, so this is why I'm really excited about the terrestrial reference frame, in the new coordinate systems. So just as a quick primer, right? Think latitude, longitude, WGS 84, right? We have the prime meridian, right? And we have the equator fixed on the Earth. Well, what's happening is, but we are shifting, right, as like a continent. And so the position I have today in 10 years will actually be like that far apart or whatever it is. So same physical location, different coordinate. And with the new datums and coordinate systems that are coming out with the NGS in 2025, what they're going to do is they're going to fix the actual coordinate grid and have it move with our continent as we move. So the idea being that as we, head west, so to speak, the coordinate grid will actually be moving with us. So in 10 years, same position, same coordinates, with the datum. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit. First time I saw that, like, head explode. I was like, what? How can you not have a grid fixed to the Earth, right? Well, how about a continent, right? And have it rotate around the Euler point, which matches the rotation of the continent. Like, it's really, really cool and super nerdy, of course. But like, as you can tell, I'm excited of just like this new way of thinking and ways in which we're going to, think about position in the future and keep track of it. It's gonna be great.
Isn't like the Earth's axis even changing just a little bit, right?
Say access or axis?
Axis. What did I say?
Axis.
Sorry, because you're
talking about the tilt, right?
You think about magnetic declination. That's changing, right? I mean, again, really nerdy stuff, but yeah.
Are you at the top of your nerd limit?
I'm done. I cannot speak any more educationally about this than I just did. So I'm using big words here, Sean.
Add the fact that the moon is actually changing kind of synchronous orbit as well, and it affects tides, and I mean the entire system is dynamic. And what scares me though is like, and maybe Rick and Philippe, you can talk about this, but like your student workers, the people that you're training to be the geodesists, geospatial, surveying and scientists of tomorrow, how are you preparing them for this? Because I've been in the industry long enough. The average, say, GIS person doesn't know how to explain what WGS 84 is. I don't know how they're going to explain a dynamic coordinate system that takes tectonic plate shifting and gravity models into effect.
Good
Like
question.
how is CBI preparing the future maybe differently than some other institutes?
Well, so I don't know if we're doing it differently, but I would say it starts in the classroom, right? Like with anything, and education and understanding, and really providing them with the tools and the scaffolded knowledge to actually understand that this is different and this is what it looks like and this is why it's significant. We can't ignore the past. We can't ignore 27, 29, 83, 84, right? It's going to be a part of their world, or part of our world, probably their entire careers as well. But they need to be the change agents, right? They need to go help the industry, to grapple with this problem. So I'd say, we're teaching it in our bachelor's and master's program, right? And engaging with research with like the NGS and these other agencies to, really bring that not only into the classroom, but let them work for us. I mean, Philippe mentioned that we're very student centric, and we are. Half of the staff at CBI are students. So there's about 45 students between bachelor's, master's, and PhD that work with us. And we very much believe getting them the hands-on and helping us solve those problems. Philippe, what would you add to that? I mean, because it's going to be difficult, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Students for sure, and probably also some workshops for professionals, and scratching our heads. I'm not much of a surveyor. I was a little bit long time ago, but
it's okay, Phil.
I'm on a workshop.
You're in a safe space. Don't worry about it. It's all right.
Yeah. So yeah, agreed. It's we ran a workshop at the TSPS symposium last year. Probably run some more in the future. It's a heady project, right? And I would say that it's going to take a village. It's going to take the software manufacturers. It's going to take the professionals. I mean, we're going to have to come together to really explain it. And I completely agree that, and I'm going to diverge just very briefly. I often get the question, is it easier to teach computer scientists geography or a geographer computer science, right? I'm not going to answer that question because I don't know if there is an answer, except that what I do often see
is non-answer that is.
Well, I have an opinion, but I would say
so political.
Yeah, no, I know. But I would say there's a lot of computer science that you can tell when they don't understand the underlying geodesy, right? And you get into some really, really deep trouble. One of my favorite examples is we were recreating some vertical paths, and the database said it was in international feet. Well, turns out it was in U.S. survey feet. And it doesn't matter when you're measuring 200-300 feet. When you're going 5,000 feet down, we just saw this error get larger and larger, and it took us a couple of weeks to figure out, right? So, and it was like, oh my God, they had it labeled wrong. They didn't understand there were 2 feet. And that's a very simple answer, but it's little things like that really, really concern me sometimes.
Keeps you up at night for sure. So Philippe, talk a little bit about maybe the key initiatives or recent breakthroughs that CBI is focusing on right
now. I'll say a couple of things, and I'll let Rick also describe it more broadly. I think on the AI and the coastal sides, we just submitted a paper on the concept of a tide gauge, but for days where we have a lot more coastal inundation, because our forefathers smartly built stuff along the coast with a bit of a buffer from the water, and we talked about sea level rising. Well, the buffer is kind of gone, and so we're going to have a lot more coastal inundation. And so we've developed the methods where we observe the beach with fixed cameras. From the fixed cameras, we can extract the position of we call it the wet-dry shoreline, the difference between the sand being dry and the sand being wet. That's also called the total water level, meaning not just the average water level at the tide gauge, but you also include the run-up, how far the waves are pushing the water up your beach. And you need to know that, because that's where you get wet rather than the average water level. We're using AI in a number of parts of this project, including predicting the total water level. So the paper was just submitted today, and we love that concept. And other concepts in our lab, it's other concept of really using AI to build more resilient, taking advantage of first the institute's knowledge in surveying drones, etc., then the large amounts of data, and making it to good use, such that we build tools, predictive, short-term, long-term, to really tackle, help decision makers to make better decision for the coast in climate change and sea level rise. That's on my side. I know, Rick, you get the bigger picture of the institute.
Hang on a second, Rick. We may have to pause. It says here that you have ran out of storage.
Okay. Let me. I think it's because I'm in incognito mode potentially. Let me.
And it says avoid incognito mode.
Yes, I see that. That's that was knowledge I could have used a few minutes ago. So let me jump back in here in just a moment.
This is the first time I've ever seen that.
Yeah,
that's a new one.
That thing before, yeah.
That's right.
I've never seen that
You got to restart, maybe.
It just says restart the browser. So
we're
go for it.
Come out, and then we can,
I can go pee.
You can go pee.
All right. Well, let me jump back in here in just a moment.
All editable, and our 2 live YouTube viewers will just have to wait a second.
Okay, I'll be back.
I mean, we don't have to sit here in silence. Phil, what else cool are you guys doing over there? I know you've got like a laundry list of cool applications and things you're doing with all this data, right?
Yep. On my on our side, we're you hear about ChatGPT.
Sure.
And behind the ChatGPT, there's something called the transformer type model, so we're really testing the transformers on how to make better predictions for all sorts of coastal processes, and trying to better understand how they work. AI is a bit of an experimental science also, where you constantly, rapidly have new methods, and the things that make a big difference. The data. The data is just so important. You can't go around the data. If the big mistakes in AI, most of them, I bet, are going to be centered in around the data, and not having the proper data, and not wanting the AI make things, predict things that are outside of the data set, and things like that.
And I couldn't agree with that more, because we talk about AI on the show all the time, and all the different applications and what people are doing with it. And then I can't believe that it got me to this point, or I can't believe it spit out here. And I don't see as much focus on what the input is and what the data is. It's not, I mean, it's artificial, but it's not out of nowhere. It's just taking what it's given.
Yeah.
And given a predictable response.
It's making it smarter, though. All this input
do you fall in the side? Are you in the Elon Musk camp or the Sam Altman camp? Should it be open source, or should it be for profit? Do you guys see that? Elon sued OpenAI for a whole bunch of money because he thinks it all should be open source.
Interesting.
Although I think he sued because originally OpenAI was supposed to be open source, and then they went from non-profit open source to very much for profit.
$86 million, I think they're worth right now. Something.
Wow.
Why didn't we think of that?
Again, doctors, not doctors.
So real quick before we get back online. Holy cow. If
we're online.
Ethereum and Bitcoin, I don't know if you guys are watching cryptocurrency. You mentioned blockchain.
Yeah.
They're millionaires are getting made right now. It's crazy.
No way.
Yeah, it's going nuts.
Really? Wow. See, I wasn't that smart either to buy that stuff.
Yeah, but you also wouldn't be smart enough to sell it when you should, because it'll probably come
That's
back
true.
down at some point, and you'll be the sucker that did get in, but then didn't get out, and back where you started.
Yep.
Yep.
I buy
If
stock in
somebody's
my.
making $1 million, that means 999,000 people are not making $1 million.
Mm.
Hate to tell you guys, but we're all one of those.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's get us back on track here, Kent.
What?
Where do you want to go next?
Talk about the different collaborations you guys are involved with other entities.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So we love collaborating. In fact, it's one of the, I think, strengths and weaknesses of the Institute a little bit, because, you know, everyone has to have an elevator pitch. And I always joke, my elevator pitch requires a trip to the top of the Empire State Building, because we really just are a group of people that are passionate about research with the common thread of high quality and accurate measurement data, right? And sustained. And so, you know, we've got research scientists from all different areas, students from, you know, all different areas. We have music majors, history majors, education majors, geospatial majors, engineering majors, computer science majors, you know, really just attacking all these problems from many different ways. And so even just within the Institute, that really, I think, encourages a lot of, you know, cross collaboration and discussion, which is just so rich and fun to hear the different viewpoints. You know, we obviously collaborate with our sponsors, you know, with the federal, state, and local, you know, the local city, the county, the port, you know, the General Land Office, you know, National Park Service, you know, NOAA, NASA, USDA, just a lot of really fun groups to work with. Internationally, we do some, and I think I'll kick it over to Philippe, because it's part of AI2ES and the like. I know there were some recent, you know, trips, and we had students go overseas for, you know, for some research projects I thought was really, really cool.
Yes, I'll talk about AI2ES a little bit, because that's a super cool collaboration. In terms of international collaboration, thanks to this AI2ES, which I will describe, we had a student spend the summer in Spain with folks from AI for Oceans to research how to make multi-month, multi-year predictions of water levels. We've had this fall a colleague, Dr. King, and a student, Evan Krell, who spent some time in New Zealand. Very jealous of that, to the University of Dunedin and also Auckland, to look at visualization, extreme events, machine learning applied to extreme events. And that's all part of something called AI2ES or AI2ES.org. And that's one of our many claims to fame at CBI, because we were really early on the AI. We were part of a team that proposed for a brand new National Science Foundation AI Institute. So we were co-PI, CBI was co-PI of one of the 5 inaugural National Science Foundation Artificial Intelligence Institutes. That was very, very cool. It was announced.
You mean nonlinear aggression? Something?
Yes, indeed.
Rolls off the tongue.
We will not hire you for our PR, but for anything nerdy, you joined the nerd club and the modelers.
That's awesome.
You're gonna fit right at home.
Yeah. You know what's funny? These guys are focused on the rise and fall of the ocean. We're worried about how fast our bottle of mezcal goes down.
I mean, there should be some historical data on.
We should like track
show
it.
episodes versus mezcal bottle.
We'll create our own datum.
Yeah, but it definitely changes. I can tell you that.
Well, I'm going to serve up a softball here, because I know, Kent, this is going to have a special place in your heart. And Rick, this is for you, but talk to our listeners about Certified Survey Technician, the CST program, and how CBI supports the CST, because Kent and I, many moons ago, were working with that heavily in Arizona. Maybe you can tell our listeners all about that.
Yeah. So I'm so excited about the CST program. You know, I think it's long overdue that it is in our industry, and the uptake that I've been seeing with the certified survey techs even within the companies and promoting it and really working with their colleagues to go after the certification is fantastic. And I think also too, just, if you think about students coming out of high school or someone who's really wanting to progress in their careers, having a pathway at the technician level is so important, to just not only, for your career, but I think mentally, right? Just to say, hey, I'm making progress, I'm learning, I'm pushing myself. And it also shows your employer that as well. So, the thing that I think it's a great program. I'm all for it. And where that wraps into where I think we're at least in Texas, a once in a career opportunity is, how do we change the conversation at dinner tables where the parents are saying, okay, you're about to go to high school or college, and I want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And I want them to say land surveyor and geospatial engineer after that, right? That's the goal. And the key to that is getting it taught in high schools. and we actually 15 years ago had GIS taught at a local high school. And it was a very successful recruiting tool for us. But what happened was we upskilled the teacher, and that teacher taught GIS. And at the end of that school year, got hired by a geospatial company. All right. So we hired another teacher. And so we went through 4 teachers in 4 years, right? Because they kept getting hired by industry. And after the 4th one, we're like, man, we can't sustain it. Well, a couple of years ago, the Texas Education Agency approved as the teaching of surveying and GIS in Texas high schools. I mean, think about that. That's incredible, right?
Yep.
Through the career and technical education pathway. And so what that means is in 8th grade, the students decide if they're going to go to high school or the career and technical education pathway, which is just like high school, but you, instead of 2 classes, you would take the more focused courses. And we actually in Texas have surveying and GIS taught at 2 high schools in Texas right now. One, Klein ISD in Houston, and one at Toloso Midway here in Corpus Christi. And we just had an ISD in Fort Worth agree to start it up. And we have a meeting with an ISD in West Texas that we believe are going to start it next year. And what's exciting about that is that, just think about it, right? We can have students out of high school, they can graduate with a CST1, right? I mean, honestly, they come with that certification.
Yep.
So
And
it's like an AP course almost.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like at that level, you like an AP to get college credit. You come out with your
full enrollment with university and college. They come out with say 24 hours of college credit, a CST1, and I mean, I think this is what I've been waiting for my whole educational career, right? To really break into that lower market. And TEA's bought in. So we've started, the Blucher Institute started the Point of Beginning Initiative. So ConradBlucherInstitute.org/POB, where we are working with industry and the ISDs and the academic higher education institutions to get everyone together to say, okay, here's your local high school, here's your local CTE program. Here's, we're working on a playbook to say, and here's where you can start it in your backyard. And so academia can offer dual credit and curriculum. The high schools can provide the infrastructure and the teacher, and then industry can provide time, money, resources, and otherwise to really help it start. I mean, it's so exciting. So exciting, and I think the CST is here at the right time to let them achieve that out of high school and get started.
Well, Rick, I can tell you this as a business manager, that if I hear about a high school student that comes out of high school with a CST1, there's a term we use that's called pre-hired.
Yes.
Yes. Immediately have a job. We'll take you, skip all the tests. You just you graduate this day, you start the next day. I mean, without a doubt.
Awesome. Rick, you're kind of developing a model that could be implemented in other states.
Absolutely.
Honestly. This is amazing.
And we talk with a lot of people that are looking for some kind of nudge and outline on how to do this. And it sounds like Rick's got it figured out.
Well, and it's taken a village, right? I think what we want to do is we want to scale it, right? It's really Klein ISD, Deborah Westerdun, the CTE coordinator, and Isidro Garza of Gracia Geomatics really struck gold and showed how to start. Isidro sends a field crew every Friday to that school to help teach the students, right? I mean, the dedication and what he's building. And so as we've been able to scale it and look at curriculum and really bring higher education into focus, and then have the industry contacts and all the alumni we have, really trying to bring that together. You're absolutely right. And yes,
people like that elf.
yeah, no, exactly.
Whoa!
So we are.
Hey-o.
So we hope if we, as we continue to see success, we want to send this model up to NSPS and all the, these organizations to say, hey, let's start getting, if this is successful here, we've learned our lessons. We've got a playbook to share. Let's share it far and wide. Let's change the world. Let's get geospatial around that. Let's make that a dining room conversation. I mean, honestly, that's my dream.
Based on our conversations with NSPS, they are wanting that playbook,
no
so
question.
they can say, look, these guys have it. Here's the playbook. Go and do it. And everyone else, I mean, it seems like it's a demand kind of thing going on.
100%. I mean, Rick mentioned it a couple different times. It takes a village, right? I mean, this isn't going to be done just by NSPS. It's not going to be done just by this entity. It's going to take a collaboration of people that are passionate about this to make it happen. So, Rick, we're going to become best friends. I'm going to make that note.
I knew you would be happy about this, Kent. I knew it. I was like, this.
Nick, thank you for raising that question, because you know how passionate I am about CST. So that was phenomenal. I really appreciate that.
You are going to be doing you're proctoring a CST.
Yeah. I'm a proctor here in Arizona. So, people come to me to proctor the CST exam, and I promote it, of course. But coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah. Proctoring the exam.
Yeah, pretty much putting the whole office through it.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's great. I mean, why not get those credentials? It doesn't make any sense not to.
By the way, did you want to be paid for that exercise?
Bottle of mezcal.
Oh, consider it done.
Not that cheap mezcal you
Not the
buy.
cheap mezcal.
Wait a minute.
Okay, here we go.
Wait. It's meat. What was it? Meat something. It's not
Onions
whiskey,
and mezcal.
tequila.
Onions,
Mezcal.
whiskey, maybe mezcal.
Yeah, exactly. I think Nick's onto something.
I think he is.
Yeah. Didn't he just volunteer to set up the Geoholics store, as a matter of fact?
I think he did. Yes.
Perfect. This is great timing.
Yes. Great timing.
Philippe, you jump in here. What are you excited about moving forward?
Well, for us, it's basically AI in the coast, new technologies. Our students, I'm so impressed by our group of students, and they've been doing phenomenal, winning national competitions, pushing the boundaries, submitting papers, and I gotta have to try to run fast to catch up to them, or not go too far behind. And so really getting them through the steps, seeing how they progress, and all progressing together and trying to understand the new technologies, the new method, and what's going to happen. The world in technology wise, this is in my lifetime. We just entered maybe the fastest changing technology climate. I think it's faster than the internet. It's faster than the PC. It's just a little frightening at times, but it's phenomenally interesting.
It's kind of like the next industrial revolution, right?
Yep.
In a lot of ways, but it just at a much higher level.
Oh, I think we haven't even realized it yet.
No.
We haven't even talked about quantum computing, where they've finally had sustainable quantum computing.
It's sustainable, right? Like,
interesting.
I can't get it in this guy yet, so
I thought that had it.
No,
your new laptop doesn't have quantum in it.
No, there's got to be like a huge air conditioner that just blows air through this thing.
You've been talking about this laptop for 3 weeks. It doesn't even have quantum. It's a piece of shit.
That hamster in that laptop died years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
How about you, Rick? What are you excited about?
So, piggybacking on that a little bit, I feel like I was either born too early or too late, depending on what we're looking at, right? I feel like I was born a little bit too late, right? Because I wasn't there at the dawn of the personal computer necessarily. Oh man, I could have really gotten in ground floor on the internet. Maybe a little bit too early as well, because of everything that's coming, right? I want to see what it looks like in 100 years. I'm so excited. But I will say, I think we are right now living through the next big thing. Right. So I think in retrospect, I think I'll hopefully appreciate that. Like I was here when, the AI became, a part of the landscape broadly. So, I'm excited about that. And of course, having GIS and surveying taught in high schools. I mean, I cannot stress enough this. We've been dreaming of this our entire careers, and I think it's going to crack the nut and really bring geospatial knowledge, pushing it down further into the 9 through 12 is just fantastic. As Americans, we get made fun of quite often for lack of geography knowledge, right? Yep. So let's maybe in a little way this will also fight that a little bit, right? I'm excited about those two things. I'd say I'm finally living through a revolution that I'm, that I can understand.
Totally agree. You guys are awesome.
Rick, I got to say this before I ask this last question. You do realize you checked almost all the boxes of the Geoholics. We're talking about.
He's the next co-host. What are you talking about?
The technology.
Hey! I just lost my job.
CST in the high schools. I mean, if you have listened to all 207 episodes, you really hit the nail on the head in an hour. So
if he gets my job, I'm gonna be so freaking mad because he went to Georgia and I'm a Gator, so like a bulldog taking the Gator's job, Oh,
Nick, your job is secure just because of your wife
and how much we pay you.
Hey, so do you see why my wife is so expensive? Yeah, how much you pay me? Good. That's good.
I got it.
But you see why Danielle's so excited? Holy cow! Like CBI is doing some pretty freaking amazing.
So he's gonna be perfect.
And what's crazy is talking to her about before getting to this point, and now listening to what she's
full
doing,
circle.
It's like
this is great.
Yeah. What was that, Rick?
And we're really excited to have Danielle on the team. I mean,
absolutely.
she has hit the ground running, and like I mentioned earlier, we are a collection of people that are passionate and she is just so driven and hit the ground running. So like Philippe said, he's chasing students. Danielle's already, really blazing a path, and particularly with the NSAR and ISAR work, man, there's so many applications. It's unbelievable. It just fits us so well.
That sounds like a great fit. All right, guys, I have one last question. I'll start with Rick, and then Philip, you can finish it off.
Before you ask that question, I got to say we have to have these guys back because there's so much we haven't touched on that I want to talk about. So we'll do it again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, that'd be great.
Last thing, Rick, do you have a mantra that you live by?
I do. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen?
That is actually the 2024
story of my life
of the Geoholics.
Story of my life.
We're taking the shame out of failure this year. We're just gonna do it and see what happens. Philippe, what about you?
We have written on one of the boards in the lab, justify complexity, but don't be afraid to explore it. So I'll go with that.
Ooh.
That's good as well.
Man, you're gonna have to write that one down.
I can't even type that one. That means spelling. I can't do it.
But that's really good.
But it was good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yep. Anything else you guys want to get out there before we let you go?
Man, this has been a lot of fun. I mean, I agreed. It would be great to do this again. This was.
I'll do it again. Don't you worry.
We nerd out a lot at work, right? But it is really, really cool and fun nerding out with you guys as well. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in the world, and this is great.
Awesome,
Rick,
awesome.
if somebody wanted to know more about CBI, where would they go?
Oh yeah, thank you. Our PR person will shoot me tomorrow for not mentioning that. So ConradBlucherinstitute.org. Blucher spelled BLUCHER. And ConradBlucherinstitute.org/POB. To learn about what we're trying to do with the high schools and getting it taught in the CTE programs. So, we're looking for a village. I mean, not that it's hard. People are, it sells itself, right? And now it's just a matter of, okay, you're not educators. We are. Let's work together. All the ISDs work differently. Let's connect you with that, right? So yeah, we're learning it as we go, and we're looking for people that are passionate about education and helping out, and there are a lot of us out there. So it's exciting.
It really is exciting, and I think there's a movement. There's definitely movement, and if
Feels like that, right?
And if we can be a part of accelerating
Just
the
a
movement,
little part about nudging that along.
I am.
Yeah, I know.
So excited about that.
You're
so
on a
excited
different
about
plane
that.
right now.
Dr.
so-
Nick, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for
Yes.
bringing these two gentlemen to the table. This has been phenomenal, and thank you guys again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Doctor. Yeah.
You know how long I waited to say that?
All episode.
Play the music. Just play the music.
Oh God, adding value and making friends.
That
Check
we
the
are.
box. That was amazing. If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, or if you have any guest suggestions, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com.
Booking out into June right now, believe it or not.
Yes, you're right. New order. Love vigilantes. I love that word, vigilantes.
Mhm.
Available everywhere. Until next time, everyone. Nick Von Smilovsky.
Love it.
Love it. We're living through the next big thing.
We are.
Love it. What's the worst that could happen?
Take the shame out of failure.
Most importantly, be safe and healthy, everybody.
Boom.